turn, oh turn.
Turn from violence, turn from violence,
Turn from war, turn, oh turn. Turn from war, oh turn, oh turn.
turn from war, turn from war,
Turn, oh turn, oh turn. Turn, oh turn, oh turn. Turn from hatred, turn, turn. Turn from hatred, turn, oh turn.
turn from hatred, turn from hatred,
Turn from fear, turn, oh turn. Turn from fear, oh turn, oh turn. Turn to peace, turn, oh turn. Turn to peace, oh turn, oh turn. Turn to truth, turn, oh turn. Turn to truth, oh turn, oh turn. Turn to wisdom, turn, oh turn. Turn to wisdom, turn, oh turn. Turn to justice, turn, oh turn. Turn to justice, turn, oh turn. Turn, oh turn, oh turn. Turn, oh turn, oh turn. And we shall be free, and we shall be free, and we shall be free, Ratatouille. What was Ratatouille? I can't remember.
4.
A 4?
Yeah.
Right. And was the mouse, was it a mouse
Yeah.
named Rennie?
Remy.
Remy. And Remy was a 4?
Yes.
Okay. Why was Remy a 4?
Yes.
It's not a yes question, a no question, it's a why question. Why? Why would you say, why would anyone say Remy was a 4? What traits did Remy exhibit that were 4 that come out? Did he envy something? Did he want something?
Yes.
What was it?
Chef.
He wanted to be a chef. And he envied, was it the humans that were chefs? Or one particular chef?
One chef.
One chef, yeah. And so Remy, by the end of the story, correct me if I'm wrong, becomes a healthy 4 and discovers his real desire to be a good chef, right? And he does become a good chef. Unlike the other character portrayed, Salieri, who envied Mozart and became very ill psychologically, emotionally, spiraling down to, in the story, ended up killing Mozart. Sorry to spoil the end of that film for you, but if you haven't seen it. Salieri was not a healthy 4. So tonight we're going to wrap up the 4s, best we can, with Richard Rohr speaking about 4s, and then we can talk about it.
This is a companion middle section on the right.
Right here.
There it is.
Oh, yes. And Israel. If it'll help you understand why this Jewish American thing can't be broken, because we're the same. Right? Israel is a 3 country and America is a 3 country. We both made an art form of it, and they cannot see our dark side in a certain sense. But we certainly can't see theirs because we're the same. No, not Germany. Wait for Germany. 4, we're still in the heart space. It's the conflicted heart. They have all these. Not only do they feel all these emotions, but they found a creative way to try to distill them and get in touch with them. And it's through the word, or the symbol, or the metaphor, or the color, or the art form. It works for them. It pulls together their complex, subtle, and emotional life in a way that literally they can get a handle on. That's why they just, you've seen 4s in art museums. They're just breathy with excitement. It's just, it's beauty for a 4 is like a religious experience. The rest of us think they're sort of off, or eccentric or something. But the world will be saved by beauty. Who said that? Was that Dostoevsky? The 4 believes that in their gut. Now, the exact flip of that, however, is also true. 4s are maudlin. 4s are dark. Now, that's a form of beauty for them. Now, hold on to that. 4s are moody. Fours are suicidal in the worst sense. Fours love to talk about death and darkness. Film noir in France. My God, can France make a happy movie? I've never seen it if there is one. You know? It's always just they are attracted by the dark side. They really are. So much so that even when something good happens to them, they'll turn it into a tragedy. They love the tragic while saying they don't, right? They love to have had a tragic childhood, and they'll make it 4 times more tragic than it was, you know? The tragic gives them energy. Let me repeat it. The tragic gives them energy.
We stop it there.
And so they naturally erupt.
Does any of that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. How does that apply in relationships, do you think? If tragedy gives fours energy, who are fours attracted to?
Trauma bonding, the bad girl, bad guys.
Yep. Either bad girl, bad guys, or the tragic, sorrowful ones that we want safe. Right? Either or.
Right.
But in any case, we're doomed as soon as we take that path, right? Because we're playing out role, a script that isn't real, not really true. But boy, does it feel good.
Just what he said about they love that dark side. I told you the artist that came to our place and made it's an excellent sculpture.
Yeah.
He sculpted a life-size horse head with the flesh dripping off, and you could see the bones and teeth and slime. And
Slime, too.
He brought it to our meditation room and set it up. And I said, Andy, the kids came in and were horrified and screamed and left. You can't display this. But he
loved it.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why horror movies are great business. The tragic and terrible and all of that.
Themselves around it. And it's true. There was a guy in the seminary with me, a classic 4. And in those days, of course, we were really into conformity. We all had to be at everything. And he would disappear for a few days and in his room all holed up. And the, formation directors would knock on his door and he'd say he was sick or something. And then he'd appear after 3 days and he'd written an overture each time or something. or a whole sheaf of poems or whatever. Immense creativity, but basically he was depressed for 3 days. Deep depression, dark depression. Oh, they just love to be depressed, Now the rest of us say, God, why would anybody love? And they would swear they don't love to be depressed, but they do. They need it. And this is what I mean by beating yourself on the head and calling it happiness. Why do you do this to yourself? Well, it gets me my energy. In whatever way gets you your energy, they know their best creativity comes out of suffering. It's why so many artists live in the poor part of town, live in a little apartment. The rest of us would go crazy. Oh, I'm a suffering artist. No, can't even afford my mortgage payments or whatever it might be. And they probably can't, but they love it. They'll tell that story. They'll milk it for all it's worth the rest of their life. How poor they were, and how much they suffered. They do know how to suffer, but they know how to milk the suffering and make it into.
This is why I believe 4s, along with others types, need individual language. Language, if we're going to speak to someone who's a 4 or someone else, that we need to understand the language that you've heard of love language, right? This is kind of a take on that. And this is why, when Brother Tim and I, we have a conversation about going to our peace, I can't do that. And I know you mean what you mean by peace, but I still can't do that.
Okay.
It's not awareness for me. I don't want to go to awareness. I want to go to suffering. I want to go to darkness. I want to go to emotional angst, and it's not that I'm aware of it. I want to feel it, and just ride it out, And it has nothing to do with awareness, it has to do with feeling deep inside that suffering that, and obviously, look at me, I'm being all dramatic about it, you know, but that's a 4, right? So saying to a 4, go to your peace, makes me go crazy, you know, because that's not how I rock and roll, you know. So he's describing, I think, very well, I think, the need to understand individuals as individuals. And that takes work, you know, to really see a person before you and to try to understand that individual without stereotyping, without generalizing, just that individual, and see what comes up. You know. Does that make sense?
Art, make it into beauty. They will often destroy relationships.
Yeah.
And this is why 4s can be very difficult people to be married to or to be with. I'm told this by marriage partners of 4s. And when one of your children is a 4, they're not easy to raise, I'm told either. Because everything's histrionic, everything is tragedy, everything is prima donna performance. This is the center of the world. Why isn't the whole world appreciating me? So the need, as you can hear it, is the need to be special. Now the amazing thing is they are rather creative, special people. But they're attached to it, they're addicted to it, they're advertising it too much, they're trying too hard. And so a lot of people don't like 4s either. All the hard space people make a lot of
So
that.
every type in the Enneagram is addicted to something, but they're different addictions. And that's the challenge, that's the task for, you know, if we want to enter into the Enneagram and play with it, which is what I suggest we do, you know, ask yourself, what am I addicted to in terms of the Enneagram types? And that helps you understand yourself. It's not that you categorize yourself or type yourself, but really you do what this book is talking about. You care for your soul. And you can't care for your soul unless you see your soul, unless you really see and understand more and more deeply your soulfulness. And that's what we're talking about, which comes out through personality. The 1 is addicted to something. What is it? The 2 is addicted to something. What is it? The 3 is addicted to something. What is it? The 4, easy for me to know, because that's what I do. I have to be special. Have to be. And if somebody else is special, I envy that. In my ill health, the tendencies. Yeah. So, okay.
It's for 3 different reasons. The hysteria of the 2 in reaction, the manipulativeness of the 3 while trying to organize you, and the eccentricity and tragedy of the 4. Just, you want to stay away from it for a while. I want to make sure I don't humiliate anybody in particular, but they love black, and I do see a few people here in black, but it doesn't mean because you're in black. Black is the tragic color, but it's also the color of dignity. And if at all possible, they will wear a mauve scarf over the black. I taught this once, and a woman stood up and said, "Ta-da!"
So I would disagree with Richard on this. I think he's not quite hitting it there. It's not always black. In fact, it's not mostly black, but it's a color that relates to suffering of some sort. For example, we wear blue denim robes. How does that relate to suffering? Answer: South side of Chicago, the blue denim robe folks work with gang members. Suffering is very real. Therefore, blue denim robes. Don't tell anybody, but that's the truth.
And she was a 4, and she was totally in black with a mauve scarf. And I hadn't even seen her. But mauve, whatever that exact color is, I'm sure the 4s could tell me, is a very special color. I don't know why they're attracted to it, but it's really sort of eccentric when you go toward the purple. And anyway, people normally don't dress in purple and red, and they do, In some ways, 4s are easy to spot, because they refuse to be one of the hoi polloi. They refuse to be one of the crowd. Very often when you're sitting at a table, and don't again want to point anybody out, they will try to sit not at a table. They will try to sit apart and separate. They will literally pull their chair back so I'm not a part of the group. They almost feel they lose their energy if they're like everybody else. And be sympathetic to them and understanding them. I can't just, it's like death to just sit here and be dressed in just a white t-shirt, you know, and be sitting like everybody else. They have to make their statement in the way they sit, in what they're wearing, and it's second nature to them. They cannot not do it. So you might as well learn to love them for it. Because a lot of the time they're real good at it. I mean, that is rather clever the way you're sitting, or whatever it might be. they'll naturally see the different way to do everything, which is why their art never ceases. They just,
We stop it there for a
they
second.
will not
So
follow.
I'm sorry to talk so much about myself, but it's just so obvious that it's true. When I was part of a church in Washington, D.C., at the end of every church service, when people were mingling and talking among themselves, like normal human beings, I went off into the corner behind a piano and would just play. And one of the leaders of the church one time called me on it, and she said, "Why are you doing this? You're avoiding people. You're, not participating." And I looked at her like, "You don't get it, do you? This is what I need to do. Okay? I'm special. I need to do this. I'm moody. I need to express this. Oh, by the way, I'm pretty damn good. You might just enjoy it, while it lasts, because nobody else can play like I can play. I'm special." Okay? You see the foreignness there? Yeah. He's spot on. Absolutely spot on.
Fall into the any kind of conformity. They refuse to be conformists. It reached an eccentric explosion in the hippie movement when I was growing up. It just took over America, the four energy. Maybe you'd say at a superficial level. It was countercultural. They're often countercultural in one sense or another. They often, since we're debating so much about the homosexual issue these days, normally the four has no trouble understanding homosexuality. They're naturally androgynous, even if they're totally heterosexual themselves. Yeah, I can understand why someone would enjoy men and enjoy women, because the four-person is androgynous. They just seem to get it. It's their natural space they move in, which might not be acted out in a genital way, but in their mind and in their heart, it's not inconceivable to them. And you need to know that, because that's the nature of their soul. They're male, female. They really are. I'm not saying they're gay, but although they can be gay, but many people confuse gay people with fours, and they're not the same. But it's that same integration of male and female that the gay person has, which is also held by the four person. So they're two different things, but they overlap. And sometimes you will call fours gay, and they're not at all. You understand? They're maybe artistic, creative, androgynous, and so forth. Okay, they like a kind of smooth rigidity. They don't want to admit that there is a rigidity in themselves. And the rigidity is this: they're perfectionists, just like we ones are, believe it or not. That's why we ones and fours can tend to understand one another. Because we're both perfectionists, we take ours in a moralistic direction. The four takes it in an aesthetic direction. But once it feels right to them, you better not change it, right? You better not tamper with it, If he picked out green and you just quickly dismissed the green, be ready for a serious conversation, right? He or she was attached to that green for some reason. That's what I mean by they're this strange combination of can be very rigid people aesthetically. The feeling of a room is important. And you better not go in and move that sofa, right? Another hour conversation. If you move that sofa without asking me or respecting me enough, they understand feng shui naturally, all right? The energy in a room and how that looks right and that looks right over there. And they're usually right. But do you hear that word right? That becomes their rigidity. And they can be rather demanding about it, even though they'll say it in a much smoother way than we ones will. They're natural snobs, just like the 4s and 5s, both snobs. They work for a studied casualness. They've worked all morning to try to look like they just threw this on. Right? Oh, we just threw these rags on. They were the first thing in the closet. No, they weren't. Right? You thought about it for an hour probably before. Does this go with this? And so forth. Huh? But what they put together will usually look pretty good. They do have elite standards. The ordinary is what they avoid. That's it. The ordinary is boring to them.
So that's how a 4 gets healthy. By going to the ordinary, the everyday, the earthy. And that's why I got a puppy. So I could be grounded in a lovely, earthy, little, that's a little anymore, creature that demands of me to be attentive to the everyday, ordinary, especially food. That's how a 4 gets healthy. So maybe that's a good spot to stop it. Any questions or thoughts on 4s?
It's amazing how well that describes Andy. It was a shame he would not wear good clothes. If he'd go to the thrift store and they were all like suit jackets or in these incredible combinations that and just what he said, he'd sit in there and decide for an hour how to put his combinations together to come out and eat supper with me, you know. I just saw many of these little things that I always wondered about with him. He named them all. Cool.
Did you have something you wanted to say, Vincent?
Comes after 3.
Pardon?
Comes after 3.
I can't hear you, sir.
It comes after 3.
Oh. How did I not know that? Okay. Any other thoughts? So as you explore the Enneagram, you begin to see where you go in stress and where you go in strength to another type. And for some of you, you would go to a 4 in strength. For some of you might go to a 4 in stress. If you go to a 4 in strength, you become more creative, more energized in terms of beauty and so on, making things that are good and true and beautiful. If you go to a 4 in stress, you fall into the pit of envy and jealousy and that kind of fear. Because all of these traps that the Enneagram portrays are ultimately rooted in fear, some kind of fear of this or that. So just to be aware, you might consider yourself this type or that type, but be aware that you're not alone. That you are a dynamic relationship with your other dimensions in you that you can consciously, that's the key, consciously draw on. 4s can consciously go to 1s in strength, and they become better leaders, become more able to see what's right and inspired even if they're really good at 1. But for 4 in their stress, they go to 2, and they become so needy, and so prideful. And that's the pit that they can go to. All right, so we'll conclude the fours tonight and move on to fives next week. Anybody remember what a 5 is? What they're called?
I don't remember what the 5 is, but since we're leaving the heart chamber, 2,
Right.
3, 4, I think one of the most beautiful thing in that sector is that when someone activates your heart, let's say romance or love, and that it's going into that fantasy, that creative imagination, that attachment to expectation. It could be the biggest muse for us to just take on the world.
Yep.
But then when it goes overboard, that's when the consciousness is. It's like that addiction and it doesn't go your way, it just crumbles down like a tower.
Yep.
But I think that's just one of the most beautiful things is the activation of the heart when you find yourself a muse.
Yeah, well
If
said.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and that 2, 3, 4 is the heart chamber in this case. It's a good place to be. It's just not the only place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious, what does 5, 6, 7, like what's that chamber?
Right. So 5, 6, 7, I believe is more of the head, because the 5 is called the investigator. Sherlock Holmes is a 5. So they're always gathering data, right? Which is good,
Yeah.
right? You want to gather as much data as possible. But the problem with 5 is, Sherlock Holmes is the prime example. He always does this, the human relationships. Dr. Watson, or what was the woman that, the housekeeper in the story? Mrs. somebody, right? He would always have no emotional time for her. That's 5. But everybody realizes the great value, the great work of 5 is just that, to gather data. And Claude is probably 5. But it's more.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on next time to the land of 5s. We'll close with a song. Deep within a song is heard, deep within my soul. Deep within a song is heard, deep within my soul. Deep within a song is heard, deep within my soul. A song is heard deep within my soul. Deep within a song is heard deep within my soul. Deep within a song is heard deep within my soul. Deep within a song is heard deep soul.
Oh, my soul. Oh, my soul.
Oh, my soul. Oh, my soul.
Oh, my soul.
Oh, my soul. Oh, my soul. Oh, my soul. Oh, my soul. At the close of this day, we give you thanks for your great love for each of us everywhere. May we learn to look within, to explore, to discover, and see the many, many dimensions that we are, that you've made us. May it be so.
Yes, I was remembering an earlier version of that song, because I wrote, where is this Leon Creed?
Well, there's many versions of that song.
Yeah, I guess there are.
Miss Lita, how's your eye, sweetie? Oh, it looks better. Yes, it does.